Hi everyone, I'm home off the West Coast Trail. I wanted to talk a little bit about my experience for just a couple of minutes as sort of a bit of a introduction or prelude to the video that I made about my experience. So the early in August, which was the only reservation we were able to get, because you have to reserve the West Coast Trail. It's available on the 30th of April of this last year, due to a variety of reasons, COVID being one, I suppose. Only certain many people can get on. So you either have to start in the north or the south. The north is called Pachena Bay, and the south is called Gordon River. And Gordon River is essentially at Port Renfrew. Pachena Bay is up at Bamfield. But it's very difficult. It was difficult for us. We were 900 on the line in the queue at exactly 8 o'clock in the morning on April 30th. The only reservation we could get was through NitNat, which meant that's in the middle. So you have to find your way to NitNat, which is about an hour west of Lake Cowichan, west of Duncan. So you go to your NitNat, you take a water taxi down, and then you either head right to go north up to Pachena Bay, or you go south down to Gordon River. So what we did, four of us, myself, my wife, and Frank and Amanda O'Brien, shout out to them here in Victoria, we elected to do the easy part first. So we went north. So we went to the NitNat Narrows, to the Crab Shack, which is where it is. Shout out and thanks to Carl for the wonderful breakfast at the Crab Shack. And then we spent 2 days and we walked up to Pachena. Realistically, it should have been a 3-day hike, but we kind of decided we'd force it a little bit, and we did it in 2 days, which meant the last day was 22 kilometers. It was a bit too much. We probably shouldn't have done that. We should have broken up into 3. But Darling River was closed because of bears, and because of that, Darling River was an ideal place to stop. We kept going to Michigan. Once we got to Michigan, we thought, well, what the heck, we're already here. So we carried on, did it in 2 days, and came home. I was home for 4 or 5 days, and I said, you know what, I really want to do the south, which is the harder part of the trail. I couldn't convince anyone to come with me. Frank was busy, and Agnes and Amanda weren't into it. So I decided I'd do it by myself. So my wife, Agnes, she drove me back to NitNat. I was there at 7 o'clock in the morning the following Tuesday, a couple of days after we had come home. And I got back on the water taxi. Carl looked at me like I had two heads, and what was I doing here again? They thought I was lost, I guess. So I went back to NitNat, and I immediately just went south that time. And I had a wonderful experience. I did it solo. I did it by myself. My weather for the first 2 days was excellent. Third day, not so much. Pretty wet, pretty miserable the third day, which was the hardest day. But the experience overall was just spectacular. I loved being out there by myself. Ran into lots of people, but not as many as you would think. You spend a lot of time by yourself. My first campground, I was by myself. It was a lot of talking to myself to keep the bears away. A lot of singing to myself to keep the bears away. But there's a few take-homes from me to you. If you're interested in doing the West Coast Trail, you want an amateur's advice, here's a few things that I would say. Number one, be fit. If you've been sitting on the couch for the last 10 years, this is not the trail you want to just go and jump on. You need to be fit. You need to make sure at least you've got some good muscle ability. You need to have a certain level of fitness, or you're going to find this really miserable. And I would also tell you that your balance is very important. Of all the things that I found important, yes, cardiovascular and having good strength in your legs and your arms is important, but having balance is a big thing. There are lots of places there where I did well because my balance is good, but boy, I would worry about somebody who's carrying a 40-pound pack with bad balance, because there's lots of places to fall there. The second thing that I would tell you, if it was me doing it again, which I did describe in my video, I would absolutely go south to north. I would start at Gordon River and I'd go to Pachena, and I would do it myself probably in 5 days. But if I was going with a group who wanted to take their time a bit, I think this is a 7-day thing. It's a 6-night, 7-day. I think you would go from Gordon River to Thrashers to Campers, and from Campers you likely would go to Benilla, I guess, or you would go back to Kamana if the seagulls weren't there anymore. From there, I think you'd move up to Scituate Falls. I never know if I pronounce that right. Then you'd probably go to Michigan, and then you'd be done. So I think you would do it 7 days, 6 nights. Likely the next time we do it, that's likely the way that we will do it. I would tell you that the first 2 days are by far the toughest. From from South Gordon River to get to Thrashers is a 4 to 5 hour hike. It's only 5 kilometers, but it's a real kick in the teeth, especially in the rain, which is the way I had to do it. It was cold and it was wet and slippery. And then the second day, if you essentially, once you pass Walbrand going north, you're now on the beach and things get a little bit easier. I would, for myself, I would only do this with boots. I would not do this with shoes. I would do it with boots, and I would make sure I had gaiters because, boy, there's a lot of mud. And the gaiters don't just help you in the mud, they also help you keep sand out of your feet. You do a lot of beach walking on the West Coast Trail, and if you don't have gaiters, you're going to kick up a lot of rocks and sand into your shoes, which is a pain in the arse. So put gaiters on, it helps to keep the sand out of your shoes. I would also tell you that the hiking poles that I used, I saw most people with poles. I found poles on the beach very helpful. You use them to propel yourself. Get familiar with that. You don't use them for balance so much. You use them to push yourself. They're really quite helpful. But when you're on the trails and in the woods and everywhere else, I found them very unhelpful because I found it was more important that I just kind of relied on my balance. I'd keep my hands out when I was walking across logs, when I was going up ladders, all those kinds of things. I had gloves on, I paid attention, and I didn't use my poles in the trails at all, but I used it a lot on the beach. And the last thing I would tell you is that I ran into one gentleman who came up to me at the campsite and said, "Are you by yourself?" And I said, "Yes." He said he's always wanted to do it solo, but he just wasn't sure that he had the courage or the confidence to do it. And I would tell you, maybe I'm a bit of a solo guy, I don't know. But I love doing it solo, and I would do it solo again. If I can't convince my friends or my wife to join me next year or anyone in my family, I would absolutely do this by myself. That 4 to 6 hour day of hiking where you pass 2 or 3 people all by yourself, it was a fantastic experience. I've spent most of my career surrounded by people, I guess, and I really did enjoy being out there by myself. I really enjoyed the camping by myself, the overnights by myself. It was fantastic. I would really encourage anyone who doesn't have the confidence to do it to just find that confidence and go do it. It was a great experience to do it by yourself. So anyway, those are 5 or 6 things that I learned on the trail. I am an amateur. I've not done this a lot, and I'm old. But my fitness level was good. My balance level was good, and I certainly would be enthusiastic to do it again. I will tell you, I couldn't have been home more than 2 or 3 days, and Agnes and I went to the Costco, and I was in the Costco lineup for about 5 minutes, and already I wanted to be back on the trail. I wanted out of the Costco, and I wanted her to drive me back to Pachina Bay to do the whole damn thing all over again. So anyway, do it. It's fantastic. It's a great experience. So here we are at the beginning, right past the crab shack, on my way to Kamana today. First boardwalk, 9 o'clock in the morning. Wish me luck. Kilometer number 1, kilometer 33, heading south. Well, this is my first stop. I probably only made it about 3K so far, but I'm making good pace. It's pretty much just boardwalk, easy walking so far. A couple of bad spots. Got my whistle ready, making lots of noise in case mama bear's around here somewhere. Nice little cove on the ocean. Very nice. Wish you all were here. So that's too funny. I was just singing, wondering where the lines are, the old Bruce Coburn tune, coming up the trail here, just to kind of keep the bears away. And all of a sudden there was a guy standing in front of me with 4 girls. They're all hiking, and I didn't even notice him. I had my head down singing away. He said, "Thanks for scaring away the bears." Didn't comment on my singing. Time to go to the beach now. I think I'm just coming down heading towards Cripps. It is just glorious. I had to take my vest off. It is so warm. It is just spectacular. I can't imagine all the people that talk about this trail being so rainy and wet, because today I'm exceptionally lucky. It's beautiful out here. It's even nicer than it was last week when I did the north side, which I'll tell you about a little bit later. I saw this in a video. I think it's kind of cool. I'm seeing the same thing. It must be a guardian shack somewhere There's another one up in the hill there. I think it's time maybe to sit down in this chair, take a little bit of a break, maybe have some trail snack. Last week, Agnes and I and Amanda and Frank went to Nitnat and we walked the north end of the trail, which took us 2 days, but it just didn't seem enough to me, so I decided that I would try to convince Frank to come back with me and come and do the south end, which I think is going to be 3 to 4 days. But Frank was busy, he was working, and it was a little bit out of Agnes's interest right now. So I decided to just come on my own. So I was expecting it to be really cold, but look at it, it's just gorgeous out here. I don't imagine anybody walking the West Coast Trail has ever been luckier to get weather like this. So anyway, yeah, so I'm on my own. I'm going to try to do it in 3 days. I'm going to try to make it to Kamana today. It's only about 14K, but I think it might be a bit on the tricky side because it's about 6K of beach walking to Kamana, and then to Campers the next day. And that's the hard day because that's all the ladders through Colite and the gullies, and that's going to be a bit tough. And then about 14K to finish the last day on Thursday to get out at Gordon River on the south. But I might not make that. I may end up having to stay at Thrasher and have it do it over 4 days. But if the weather's like this, feeling good, man, I'm just going to get her done in 3 days. It'd be fantastic. Anyway, this is a wonderful experience. My daughter thought I was crazy. She thinks that I should take up more golf or do something. But I got to tell you, just being out here by yourself in this environment with the waves crashing in, without phones, without TVs, without the markets, without work, without the veterinary clinic, spectacular, absolutely spectacular. So here's a fork in the road. I'm at kilometer almost 37, so I've come 5K in an hour, really good pace, no problems back where I came from. So I could go to the beach now towards Cribs, but I'm not going to. I think I'm going to stick to the inland trail because it's so dry, comfortable. I don't think there's any troubles there at all. So catch you later. There's my forest trail, but the beach is right there heading towards Cribs. Tide's out. Could walk along the beach, but that's tough walking. So we're just going to carry on here on the trail. So I just got to a beach access, trying to figure out what to do, when I noticed that I brought one of Agnes's poles and one of my poles, which is interesting. And then there's somebody who shall name unnamed who left a whiskey bottle here. That's just really bad form. Good heavens, guys, not good. Anyway, I got to get the map out and figure out what to do here. Do I go on the beach now, or do I stay inland? There's the beach, there's the inland trail. We'll see. Well, coming back in towards the beach here, I think I'm going to have to get off the trail soon. I feel like such a pansy. I just passed by a family who had 2 young boys. She was carrying 36 pounds and he was carrying 52. And I'm thinking, oh my God, am I ever weaning at 34? But hey, he's younger and tougher than me. There you go. Well, this is just really typical of the trail that seems so innocuous and innocent until you have a look down, and right to the right hand side here is probably about a 60-foot drop on the rocks right there. So you sort of have to be careful. So this is Dare Point, and I was thinking I wanted to scramble and walk on the rocks around this just because it would be kind of cool. I've still got about 3 hours to high tide, because once tide comes in you can't get past here, but I got to figure out where I'm going to go down to get onto this Dare Point, and then we'll try to get around this point. We'll see what happens. All right, here we are at Dare Point. I can either be a pansy and take the trail, or go take that big ladder you see over there and go down to the beach and get around Dare Point. I think I've got 2 hours or so that will let me get here before the tide comes in, according to the tide table chart that I got with me. So you know, as long as I don't fall or do anything stupid, it'll be good. I'm gonna go around Dare Point, walk along the beach, and you know, just try not to make a fool of myself. Well, that was the first 3 rung ladder of the day, probably about 70 steps. A little rickety, holy cow. I don't think I'd want to be here in big rain. It's pretty slippery, pretty rickety, but I made it. Well, that was the ladder to get from the trail down to Dare Beach. I made it, I'm here. There's the little boys telling you that's beach access. And this is Dare Point. So I think I've got about 2 hours to get over these boulders and over to the other side. I'm about 7 kilometers south of Nitnat Narrows, which is off to my right up there, about 7K. I think I've got about 2K to get around the corner to Cribs and then on to Kamana. So far so good. This is Dare Point. It's like walking on the surface of the moon or something here. But I gotta keep hoofing here, otherwise the tide's gonna come in and I'm gonna be in trouble. Bye. Well, I'm just still past Dare Point and I can smell and hear the sea lions. I don't know where they are, maybe just around the corner here. But man, do they stink. Holy cow. Agnes, the sandwich that you made with the pickles, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Fantastic. So, walking on the beach, when the tide is out this far, it's actually really nice. The sand is firm, it's hard. I'm looking at this old boiler. Heaven knows where that came from. And that is the point I just came on, Dare Point. Had a little rest over there on the way here to Cribs Creek. Just coming around the corner here towards Cribs, I think. I think that's the Kamana River out there. Just came along this beach. It's fantastic, and boy, but you sure can tell why if the tide is high, you ain't getting through here. You are hooped because this tide is out. It's almost, well, it's not low tide, but high tide's not for about another 3 hours, and I've got this nice hard sand to walk on. Fantastic. Well, I'm here. I just finished climbing over all those rocks. That was a bit of an adventure. Thank heavens the tide is out. So I'm going to just carry on the beach here. This is Cribs. There's the toilet and somebody camping here. But it only took me 3 hours to get here. It's only 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So I'm not stopping now. I'm going to carry on. I think I got at least another 2 hours in me to get either to Kamana or to Vanilla. So anyway, easy beach watch. Easy beach walk. Well, I'm here just past Kamana Point. It's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, made real good time. Right around the corner there is the Kamana Lighthouse, but as you can see, it's gonna be a little tricky getting around there, I think. The tide's not in yet, but there's a trail, a land trail behind me I think I'm gonna go take. Just gets me around the corner. I ran into a couple who told me that Kamana Creek is bad because there's seagulls everywhere crapping on everything you own. So I think I'm gonna have to pass Kamana Creek and go to Vanilla, another 2K. But it really means I only got another 4K today. So I probably have done 12, so that's a 16K day. Makes for an easier day tomorrow for me, I think. But the weather's just spectacular. It's warm, it's just gorgeous. It couldn't have been better. I wanna go jump in the ocean here. If I had a towel, I think I would. Anyway, wish you guys were with me. It's a real bummer. Well, here I am, made it to the top. So this is obviously where the Kamana Lighthouse is. Losing my voice, I'm getting so wiped out. That's the trail to the lighthouse, but it's closed, you can't go there. So I gotta head further south. I'm trying to get a trail back to the beach, because this walking up here, I guess it was about half a kilometer to get up here from the beach, but it was a bear. Oh, it was awful. Mud and climbing and stairs, and I come 13K today and starting to feel it, starting to get a little tired. So go back to the beach. I think I've got 4K to go till I get to Vanilla, and then time to pack it in. Talk to you later. Well, that's the point. That's Kamana Lighthouse. I can't actually see the lighthouse, but it's at that point. And right there, we see all that stuff. That's Chez Monique, but there's nobody there. It's not open. Otherwise, I would have had a hamburger. So then I got to go a little further here around this point. That's Vanilla up at the corner there. Kamana River's coming up here. I'm going to bypass that. So got about another 3K to go, something like that. I'm coming up to Kamana River, and that is a seagull colony as far as the eye can see. So I'm trying to go up to the edge of the beach so that I don't get flown over. That is a million seagulls. They don't even care. They're just completely ignoring me. Just doing their thing. Oblivious to me. Well, I've come probably close to a kilometer, I guess, from Kamana River. This is very cool. I'm on my way to Manila. It's very cool. Don't know what it is, but I like it. So, it's 5 o'clock. Here's my camp. Pretty nice little setup I got going here. I'm gonna make some supper here, I think. And there's nobody here. I'm all by my little lonesome, and there's the ocean just waiting for the sunset to come. And I think there's gonna be a full moon tonight. Reading a book, about to make some supper. End of day one. Did 16 kilometers today. Ended up here at Manila Creek. Tomorrow it's to get to campers. It's only going to be 14 kilometers, but it's all the ladders tomorrow. So, you know, I have to have my wits about me, as usual. Well, it's the end of the night here. Sun's going down. It's getting quiet. Had some supper. It was real good. Chicken pesto. Give it an 8 out of 9. Not bad. Got the tent all set up and ready. Nobody here, all by myself. Kind of creepy, actually. Just went and put all my food in the bear cache. So, you know, and I carry my bear spray with me everywhere I go. Just because you never know if Mama Bear decides that she wants to steal something from me. Anyway, it's up early. Dismantle this camp and get on the campers. Be a long day tomorrow. Talk to you tomorrow. Morning, campers. It's beginning of day 2. I just got up. It's a little after 6 o'clock. Pretty misty out there. Just about to make some coffee and some oatmeal that Agnes organized for me. And then it's 14K to get off to campers in the mist here this morning. Still nobody at this campsite. Very deserted. It's very interesting. The only thing that made noise last night was the crows and the raindrops falling on top of the tent, but it was very peaceful. Anyway, making coffee, making breakfast, and so far so good. Okay, campers, here's what I'm thinking. Here's the tide table. So the tide table tells me here on Wednesday that the high tide isn't till 3:36 in the afternoon. You add an hour to that, 14:36. So I've got from now, which is a little after 7, till about 3:30 this afternoon to get from where I am, which is here on Vanilla Creek, which is there at Vanilla Creek, just past Kamana, right there. And I got to get all the way along the beach, and I got to go all the way to Walbrand. And once I get to Walbrand, I got to cross the river, or I got to take a cable car, and I got to go through the bush and through all the ladders between Logan Creek and Cullite is where all these bastard ladders are, Cullite Cove. I got to carry on all the way, and I got to get to Camper Bay by tonight. So it's only 14 kilometers, but it's going to be a little bit of a pain in the arse, and the first time for me. So, and here's my misty morning. So far so good. Just finishing my coffee, packing up the tent, and get the heck out of here. Bye. Well, I'm not sure where those came from, but I don't think they're a house cat. That's all I'm saying. So this is what walking's like here this morning, coming into Walbrand pretty soon. Tide's out. Very misty. Very misty. Hard to see much anything. Nobody out here. Just me. Me and the seagulls. So I've made it this far. I'm not to Walbrand yet. I think I'm just here at Vancouver Point, which they say is impassable when the tide is above 3 meters, but obviously the tide is way out. So I walked all the way around the corner. I didn't have to scramble on the boulders at all. So it's easy. I'm just going to carry on walking across the because it's easy. It's as long as you don't slip, it's nice and firm and hard. You don't have to fight the sand. I just spent 2 kilometers walking on wet sand. Holy cow, it's gonna wear me out before I even get to the ladders. Anyway, well, I made it over the landscape here, probably about half a kilometer. Had to come back to the sand because it was just getting too slippery. I was worried I was gonna fall and smash something. That wouldn't be good. Had somebody fishing out there doing their thing. Looking for salmon, I guess. Maybe checking crab traps. Bunch of boats out there. So, yep, time to leave the beach. So in the last 24 hours, I think I've done about 11K on the beach. And now it's time to head inland, do a bunch of ladders and boardwalks and trails. I think it's time to get off the beach. Anyway, this is Walbrand. This is a really nice place. The water looks excellent. There's a nice looking campsite. I think if I come and do this again, when I come and do this again, I think I want to stay at Walbrand. So I'm south of Walbrand on my way to Logan Creek. Back to the inland, back to mud. Back to mud. Lots and lots of mud. Well, this is very nice. This is like it's like walking on the downtown street. Fantastic. I think maybe I spoke too soon. My nice boardwalk looks like it's kind of falling apart. Back to mud. So I've seen this in several videos that I watched. And it looked kind of daunting in the video to have to cross this, but I think it's going to be okay. If I fall, I'll take a picture and show you, but I think I'll be okay. So I'm in the middle of the suspension bridge. There's the ocean and the mist. For those that don't like heights, it's fair way down. Just my advice, don't look down. I'm now on the south side of the Logan Creek Bridge here. So it's been a little over 3 hours, 3 hours and 20 minutes to get this far. I think I've come to 59 from, I think I've come 11K. Half of it on the beach and then half of it in this, so. Still alive, nobody's gotten me yet. Well, there's no easy way to get through this. Glad I got gators. I'm probably 3K south of Logan Creek, Logan River. But there's the ladder all the way up there, and it was very steep, scary steep. And then I crossed the creek walked on gravel. I didn't bother trying to take the trolley car. And then all the way up down there, and then out with the ladders, and I'm not done yet. I got more ladders to go. Anyway, so far so good. Well, I'm probably somewhere near the 60K marker. Collite was a pain in the ass, but made it. And now I've probably come half a kilometer, and back to more stairs. But it looks like I've only got about 3K to get to camper. It's probably about 1 in the afternoon. So I think that's as far as I'm going to go, because I'm getting tired and I'm worried that if I try to push to Thrasher, it's another 4 hours after that. I think I'll just be going to hurt myself. So I think it's camper in a couple hours, and that'll be that for today. Well, that was an adventure. That was a bit slippery, and it wobbled and shook the whole time I walked across it. It's probably about 60 feet. It's interesting. Okay, well, I just came to this little rest spot, which I'm probably, let's see, I can go back to the trail. There's southbound to Walbrand, and there's northbound campers where I'm going. And then I found this little thing. I think I probably got about 2K to go, but I'm tired. Ankle sore. It's getting a little cold. It's not nearly as nice as it was yesterday. But there's a nice little bench to sit on here. There's a wind coming off the ocean to cool me down. Looks like the tide's out. Looks like the tide's way out. So anyway, I'll stop for a minute. Well, I think I'm on the downhill side now to camper. That's where I'm going. Oh man, I'm tired. Gotta tell you, this was enough for one day. 16K on the beach, on the ladders. That's enough in one day. This is a nice drop here, 20 feet or so. I better be careful. I'm getting to be at about 61K, I think. I think I got about a kilometer to go to campers. A little after 2. Been going at it for almost 6.5 hours. I'm tired. Yep, so Campers Village, night 2. Bunch of fishing boats out here. Guys out there thinking, what are these idiots out doing walking? Bunch of gulls, ocean water, and then a great big shelf, and then campsite and some fresh water. You gotta walk a fair ways to get some fresh water. You gotta go back up that little river thing you see where the trolley car is. Gotta go all the way back up there to find some water. But I did. Now I'm gonna go make some supper. So this is sunrise at Camper. So it's about 6:30. Got up really early. First one up out of this camp actually. Poured rain last night, so everything's wet and soggy, but it's not cold. So I got that going for me. Well, I've made it 1 kilometer. That's the slowest kilometer I think it's been. It has just been awful. It's been this, and I started with, oh shit, 300 or 400 meters of a climb, 6 big ladders, probably 40 to 50 rungs in each ladder, 6 of them, and then wet and soggy. Yikes! I got a long way to go. I better keep this pace up here. Get going. I'm actually making good time. I'm probably 2.5 kilometers in. This is an interesting trail. I get the impression that I'll bet you this is the sort of typical old West Coast trail. Very muddy, but they've got these long logs to walk on. And as you're doing this, you're listening to the waves crashing on the beach. I'm probably still 5 or 6K from Thrasher. So anyway, light rain, not bad, not bad. So from Camper to the cutoff for Thrasher Cove, this is all I've experienced so far, is all broken boardwalks and mud. I'm probably 3K in, something like that, and probably a little over an hour and 15 minutes. So I guess I've only got, so let's say 10K to go. I got lots of time. Well, I'm at about the 69 kilometer mark. This has been, so I've come 7K in about 2 hours, I think. Something like that. It has been, without question, the hardest part of this whole south part of the whole trail. I can't think of 7K that were tougher than this. It was nothing but mud, logs to walk over, up and down, walking over these switchbacks over these rotten logs, sitting over creeks and stuff. That's a tough 7K. I think if I do this again, when I do this again, I think I want to start at Gordon River and go north to get all this out of the way. I think a person would go to Camper day 1, because between Camper and then Walbrand, I think those are the 2 of the toughest days. But then as you head north, it gets easier, more beach walking, flatter, more even terrain. So the idea of starting in the north, coming south, so that you leave the hard part till the end, I don't think I'd advise that. I'd go south to north. But anyway, have a little cookie that Agnes sent me with. My little dad's cookie. That's breakfast. I'm almost out of water. I've been drinking a lot of water, so I might have to find a stream soon. Get some water, treat it. So I got some water for the last. Looks like I've only got about 6K to go. I'll be fine getting on the ferry, but I'm getting pretty tired. Well, here we are at the junction to go to Thrasher Cove or to Gordon River. Well, that's an easy decision. Gordon River it is. Timing's good. It's probably only 10 in the morning. It's pouring rain. Getting soaked right to the bone. If I didn't have, if I wasn't leaving today, I wonder what a guy would do in terms of clothing to stay dry. Because if you got to camp tonight, you'd be soaked. Everything's soaked. My pants are soaked. My boots are soaked. Soaked. I've also determined that I'm not drinking near enough water. I'm getting crampy. My left leg is cramping a lot. I'm almost down the liter. I haven't found any streams to get fresh water. And, you know, maybe TMI, but my urine is yellow. So I need more water. I've got to find I got to find a creek and I got to find some water. 5K is not the end of the world. I should be out of here in 2 hours, I hope, but still, I need some water. Well, I found a creek, nice flowing, clean water. So I've collected it in the pouring rain here. Getting my treatment done, waiting my 5 minutes to add it to my water bottle I just filled. My soaking pack, my soaking legs and soaking feet. 5K to go. So far, so good. Well, the climb from Thrasher's Cove, about the first, maybe almost a kilometer up to the summit of the pass here. Holy shit, it just kept going up and up and up like a homesick angel. But I'm looking way down through all the cedars. And look at the size of that cedar. That puppy was a big boy in his day. Anyway, hopefully I'm at the highest point now. Maybe it's downhill. Well, that thing's kind of cool. I think I spoke too soon earlier. I think this is the summit. I don't know what about that. But I added a rock to it. I found a rock and put it on it. Maybe it'll bring me good luck. Maybe. This has been, I think this has been about the toughest 11 kilometers I've ever walked in my life. Holy crap. I just went through a mudslide that was epic. And I'm coming up to this thing. God knows what it is. Great big boiler of some kind. I'm probably about 3K from Gordon River. It's about 10:30 in the morning. I'm doing okay. Maybe 11 o'clock, something like that. It just tells me I'll get the ferry okay. And then get Agnes to come pick me up and go home and have a hot shower and get some dry clothes because I am soaked. So between Thrasher's Cove and I'm probably about 2K from Gordon River, I think. The signposts are there, but there's no numbers on them. It looks like they've kind of been broken, so I don't actually know how far I have to go, but it's about 11:30. But this is the kind of thing you're up against. This was actually just slimy and wet, so you put down your sticks and you hold on with both hands, man, because it's pretty slick. Well, I thought I was done with the ladders, but I don't think the ladders are done with me. Well, I'm getting to the end here. I don't know how much further, a couple hundred yards maybe to the ladder, but I gotta tell you, this has been the longest, hardest, ugliest 5K in my life. In fact, I think they're lying. I don't think it's 5K. I think it's more like 10. Well, there it is. There's the final ladder. Takes me down to the beach. That's kilometer 75 finished. I'm here. I am freaking tired. I'll see you on the other side.